Hi, everyone. Welcome to the final Click Chat Connect in the summer series. I know you guys have been waiting all summer for this, and we're very excited to bring you representatives from a good variety of campus departments that are going to answer all of your questions that you've been kind of holding on to this summer. We just had to wait for, confirmation from higher up, and we finally have it. Now, some of you were fantastic, and you really responded to the encouragement to submit questions via the Google form. So after our guest speakers have gone through their information pieces, and after we've covered all questions in the chat, we will kind of recap with anything that's left over from that batch of questions. And this is just a reminder to everyone, if anyone needs to leave early or has a bad connection, or if any parents are here and want to make sure their young students who couldn't join us, this meeting is recorded, and we will be posting it as soon as possible on the admissions website. So I'm going to let our guest speakers go around the table and introduce themselves, and then we will kind of get started with the long-awaited information for you all. Mark, if you want to do a quick introduction.
Hi, I'm Mark McGee. I'm Director of Admission. I'm not really speaking at this. You've heard way too much from me throughout the entire process. It's time for my wise colleagues to deliver all the fun information they have.
So I'll go next. My name is Julia Odom. I am here representing the Office of the Registrar. I'm the registrar, and I've been at Cal Maritime for 3 years now. And so very excited to speak to you and assist you guys with your questions.
I'll go next. Hello, everyone. My name is David Taliaferro, and I am the Commandant of Cadets here at Cal Maritime. Very excited to touch base with everybody today, and look forward to connecting with everybody very soon.
Good afternoon. I'm Kristen Tenner. I'm the Associate Dean of Student Engagement. I work really closely with Commandant Taliaferro and the rest of the Student Affairs team. I've been at Cal Maritime for 5 years, and happy to chat with all of you today and going forward on, basically your experience outside of the classroom and things that we can do to keep you engaged and get to know one another and create the Cal Maritime community.
Hi everyone, my name is Melinda Balfour, and I'm the lead Res Life coordinator for the Residence Life program here at Cal Maritime. So any questions that you have regarding housing, hopefully I can answer them for you today. And I've been here for 6 years, and welcome.
So really quickly, I'm just going to put up a list of important websites. So as you all are going through giving your, updates on your various department in regards to incoming students, this will just be up in the background, so folks can refer to these websites for further information. So I guess, Julia, if you want to start, I know a recent addition has been that students have been scheduled for their fall classes.
Yes, so we completed the enrollment process for students to have their schedules. As students may know, you are block registered for your first semester at Cal Maritime, so we placed you in your courses, and your schedule is viewable through the PeopleSoft Student Center. At this time, we will also be making changes to schedules as the test scores from advanced placement exams come in, so you might see some changes to your schedule based on any additional credit you are awarded, as well as if you are an incoming student with transfer credit. As we receive those transcripts, we will also update and change your schedule as well. We are currently working with the departments to make sure that students are registered in your full-time load, meaning at least 12 units for the fall semester. So if you are not in 12 units yet, or your units change, don't be concerned about that at this time, because we will be getting in contact with you, or your program chair will get in contact with you to make adjustments to your schedule. Next week on Monday or Tuesday, expect to see an email message from me, and that will have information on, we're going to reopen registration and give students an opportunity to make changes to your fall 2020 schedule. So that will be over a 2-day period, and there will be instructions about where to do that, how you make changes to your schedule, and also a list of people to contact should you have questions about making changes to your schedule. In addition, right before classes start, I will also send out information about Drop Add and how we will be conducting Drop Add for if you still need to make changes to your schedule, or you find a course that you're interested in adding to your schedule, you can still go ahead and do that after classes begin. So the registrar's office, there are 3 full-time employees who work in the registrar's office, and our email contact is really easy. It's just registrar@csum.edu. And so if you have questions about course registration, incoming credit, changes to your schedule, enrollment verifications for the beginning of the year, a lot of those inquiries you can just send directly to registrar@csum. We also will be sharing some additional information with not only the incoming students, but as well as our continuing students about our service hours and service plan for this fall. As I'm sure you are all aware, we've had to make some adjustments based upon the health and safety criteria that our university is using for in-person visits and our students who will be here for face-to-face classes. So we're working on a service plan to make sure that students, whether they're on campus or doing courses virtually, that you will have access to forms and information and a way and opportunity to get documents to us if you need to. So we're putting together a plan, and you will also be informed about how to transact those types of business with our office, whether you happen to be on campus or off campus. We've been working diligently this past spring and summer to digitize quite a few of our forms so that students can submit things online and scan documents and send it to us. And so we're hoping that that will assist you with any service needs that you have. Primarily, the registrar's office will typically interact with you around registration, drop and add deadlines, enrollment information, as well as receipt of any incoming transcripts if you need to order transcripts. Also, enrollment verifications. I know some students need those for good student discounts for insurance. We also provide those services for students. We will also be setting up, as part of our service to all of you, is sometimes where you can make an individual appointment with us or do some drop-in hours with us. If you just have a question or two, there will be some time set aside weekly for students to speak to someone in the registrar's office, whether it be via Zoom, phone, or via chat, where we will get together. And if you just need to, check out some things or ask some questions with us, we want to make sure that we are there to assist you with those as well. So that will come out in our service information once we have all of that finalized as well. There was a lot of interaction between the registrar's office and your faculty advisor. So your faculty advisor is typically the person who you'll work with on your academic plan. And you will spend time with them creating your plan. We have some tools that assist students with just mapping out what classes you're going to take from semester to semester. And we call it our SMART Planner. And you will go through that exercise with your faculty advisor that will help you set up your plan for the next 4 years. It can be adjusted. You can make changes to it or move things around. So it's a very flexible plan, but it's really nice if you take care of that with your advisor during your first semester here. That way you have something to refer to as you get ready to enroll for classes each semester. I don't think there are any other things, and I know there are some questions as well, so I will make sure that I answer any of those questions that are related to the registrar's office. I know we have email listed here, but when our service plan comes out, I will also have some phone numbers for students to contact us at, so you can speak to a member of the registrar's office staff. The registrar's office is also a little bit interesting at Cal Maritime because there are two other areas that I oversee. One is the university advisors. So students will often hear a lot about our university advisors who also help shepherd students through some of our processes. And you can also consult with them if you have questions about classes. They work closely with the faculty on setting up plans and information. And they'll share their information during orientation, additional information through orientation. I also am managing over our tutoring services area. So we are definitely offering tutorial services this year as we have in the past. And we have a great staff of tutors who have been hired to assist and support you. So those services will be available, and you'll also receive some information about those two additional areas, especially during the orientation process. So thank you guys for giving me a little bit of time to talk about my office. And even after our session is over, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us at the registrar email that Jessica has put up for you to refer to. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Dean Tenner, if you wouldn't mind going next and giving an update on your department.
Sure. I think a lot of the questions folks want to have answers to are about health and safety and orientation. So I'll let Commandant Taliaferro talk about orientation. I'll talk a little bit about health and safety, and then some of what activities and outside of the classroom stuff is going to look like in the fall for both folks on campus and those off campus. So there's been quite a few emails floating around. Our plan for the fall is engineers and marine transportation folks will be on campus and doing face-to-face instruction. Obviously, there's a lot of health and safety components that go with that. That does include being in a single room in the residence hall, and that does include, having to get COVID tested before you get here and all of that stuff. The folks that are international business logistics, global studies, oceanography, there will not be any in-person classes, so you'll be fully remote for at least the fall semester, and so you can stay home. Right now, there are 2 applications that have been made available to folks that are open through August the 5th. One is for folks that are going to be fully virtual and have issues with internet at home. We've set up a mobile hotspot loan program. So if you have issues with reliable internet, be sure to check that out and get that application in. And then for those of you that are also virtual, if for some reason you have a truly extenuating circumstance and would like to be considered for on-campus housing, you can apply for that as well, also by August 5th. Again, space is really limited since we're in single rooms. Everybody's in single rooms. So we're trying to limit that to folks who really have an extenuating circumstance. But if that applies to you, please do take the time. It's a really short application. We want to make sure that you have what you need to be successful academically. For those of you that will be on campus, we have a strict health and safety protocol that we adapted when we started bringing folks back for face-to-face courses over the summer. When we had to go completely remote in March, there are some of the engineering and marine transportation courses that obviously can't shift to remote, and they have seat time components and whatnot. So we have cadets on campus right now, and so we've kind of been scaling up our processes, our protocols, and our COVID page has been kept pretty up to date. But everyone that is on campus, faculty, staff, or cadet, we require a negative COVID test. For those of you that are incoming, we will need you to either get your own test and submit it to our student health center. And you can start scheduling those now and get them in, or come to campus on August 13th, and there's a sign up for getting tested on that date. The process for testing on campus has gotten pretty smooth, but there's a time component to that. If you are able to get tested on your own, it will definitely ensure that your move-in is quicker, and it's just one less stop you have to make. So if you have the ability to get tested before you get here, that's definitely preferable. In terms of health and safety, every day, everyone on campus gets their temperature checked and participates in a quick 3-question screening. How are you feeling today? Any new symptoms? Have you come into contact with anybody that has symptoms? We're all walking around with the right color wristband on every day. So we're getting that's down to a science at this point. And every cadet is counted for every day on campus. If for any reason we were to get a positive for somebody who has been on campus, or say a student is confirmed positive or symptomatic, they would go into designated isolation rooms, and we have a fully flushed out isolation protocol. So that includes food delivery, health monitoring, no visitors, all that kind of stuff. And so that is a part of our health and safety plan. We do have designated rooms with individual restrooms. One of the questions that popped up a few times in the questions that were submitted before this meeting was how do communal restrooms work? Those have all been converted for social distancing. So there are some sinks that have been turned off. There are some showers that have been turned off, and there's signage everywhere. Most of the restrooms have capacities that are listed outside and inside. Our Res Life staff will be taking a heavier role in terms of making sure that, when folks are getting ready for classes in the morning, that not everybody's trying to use the mirror at the same time. And laundry rooms is much the same. There's capacities listed, and we're prepared, if necessary, to make rotations in times if that becomes an issue. In the chat, I'm seeing there's questions about quarantining prior. Formally, no, we have no means of enforcing that. However, we ask that you do be very mindful of where you're going before you come here. If you can stay at home as much as possible, that is much appreciated. But there's no formal quarantine. When folks get here, they have to self-quarantine until we have a confirmed negative result. So if you show up on the day of arrival and have a negative result, we can let you go to the dining center to get your to-go meals that day. But if you arrive and you get tested on campus, our testing with the lab that we contract with has been able to turn around results in about 48 hours. But folks have to stay in their rooms for 48 hours, and food pickup system and stuff like that. But everyone will quarantine on until their results are confirmed negative. How often will students get retested for COVID? Right now it is once upon arrival. The CDC guidelines are continuously changing. For a while it said every 2 weeks, then it said every month, and now it just says as needed. So we know that every new person to campus will get tested, and we continue to monitor the guidelines from the CDC, and we work with the public health director in Solano County to ensure that we're meeting those requirements. Do the isolation rooms have windows? Yes, they do have windows. Will a student be allowed to leave campus with a negative result for COVID? Yes, we're not locking you in, but we do ask that you be mindful of everywhere you leave and only leave for essential purposes. Anytime somebody leaves campus, there is a risk associated with it. Not a big one, but you still need to wear your mask, be socially distant, but we ask that folks don't go off campus to go out to eat at dining center or at restaurants with large groups of people. Their health and safety restrictions and requirements are not as stringent as ours. So you won't be locked on campus, but we ask that you be really mindful that you only leave when you have to. What happens if you miss your move-in day or you miss your specific move-in time? I hope that's not intentional, but I do know that there are folks that are coming from far places where flights continuously change. So we just ask that you stay in communication with us. If there is an issue that arises, that you shoot us an email and let us know that you're delayed. Because we definitely want to make sure that we know that we either shouldn't be waiting for you or we should be waiting for you, or if we have to set up an alternative testing solution, we need to make sure that we're preparing for that. The move-in day is August 13th. When Commandant Taliaferro talks a little bit about orientation, I'll let him get on with that. He'll talk about swim tests as well. The gym might be open. Right now in California, there are some pretty strict restrictions coming down just statewide. So we were hoping the gym would be open right now, but we can't open it. So no gyms are open. As soon as that restriction is lifted, we are prepared and ready and have a plan and all of that to have the gym open. We do have a field and a track that people enjoy working out on. Again, social distancing has to be a thing right now. So if it's packed, then we have to kind of monitor that. But the athletic director and I are meeting tomorrow with some instructors for outdoor fitness classes. We're looking at like a Pilates and a yoga and maybe some martial arts. So getting creative. We definitely realize that there's a wellness aspect, both mental and physical, to just being able to move around. So we will have those types of activities available. And then as soon as the restrictions on the gym are open, we will open those. And I see something about the recreation rooms, the same there. Right now, no common spaces can be open, but once those restrictions are lifted, we will open all those up. I have no idea about the colorblind test. I don't know if anybody else does either. Where can I look for a test before the 13th? Often your counties might host them or your personal family practice physician. How soon will you get your move-in time? Those are coming soon. I'll let Commandant Taliaferro talk about that a little bit more. Yes, for those of you living off campus, COVID test is still required for August 13th, as well as all the other orientation, move, and uniform items. Can parents help move in? Kind of, but not really. So definitely not in the sense that you would imagine when parents imagined moving their child into college. We are actually going to have a centralized belonging drop, and our orientation leaders with proper personal protective equipment will be moving your items into your rooms for you. Parents will not be allowed to get out of the car. Commandant Taliaferro will talk a little bit about a driving tour we've got set up and some activities for parents before you depart. But we have to keep the residence halls as secure and sanitary, for lack of a better term, as possible. Will sports still be on? Trying out for the sailing team. So in the report for our chancellor, or in the plan that we submitted to the chancellor's office, we did have a piece on athletics. They have kind of paused any decisions on athletics to further monitor the situation statewide. But for those of our sports that participate in the CalPAC region, which is basketball, soccer, all those types of sports, they made a decision as a group that any sports in the fall would automatically be moved to the spring. So there will be sports, we just not in the fall likely. Sailing, I know that they're talking about doing some form of sailing, or the sailing where there's only one person in a boat. But I'll let the athletic director talk a little bit more about that in orientation. The pool is not really open. We got special approval for the pool for our marine survival class only at this point. So it's not open for recreational use. I'll let Melinda talk about moving out of dorms at the end of the semester. For those majors that are remote only, how are the fees for living on campus going to be handled? Farrell and I have a meeting about that later today.
So Kristen, I just want to interrupt really quickly. I actually switched back to the contact info for all students because I did see some questions popping in about tuition and fees. So for the questions about tuition and fees that are in the chat right now, unfortunately, we don't have anyone from student financials on this panel. So please direct those questions to cashier@csum.edu. Sorry, forgot the U on that. So cashier@csum.edu. Or financial aid, finaid@csum.edu. Sorry about that.
No, that's great. And I'm going to actually take a pause from answering questions and talk a little bit about food and then activities. Otherwise, I think we'll answer questions all day and we'll never get to comment on Taliaferro. So food right now, for those of you that will be living on campus, is, again, there's a restriction on in-person, in the room dining in California. So all meals are to go right now. We are fully prepared to transition back to opening the dining room with socially distant procedures and measures in place. But since folks will arrive in a couple of weeks, I'm not sure that that's going to change much. So there is an order online system where you can just pick it up. And there's an option for folks to just go into the dining center, pick your to-go meal, get what you want, and then leave at each meal. We do have picnic benches around campus that folks are totally allowed to eat on. We're looking at getting more lawn chairs, but you're encouraged to also bring a lawn chair. You can eat out on the lawn. There's a whole lawn area by one of the first-year residence halls that folks love to go sit out on lawn chairs on. So we'll be transitioning back to in-person dining as soon as possible, but it will be to go when you all first get here. As far as activities, I talked a little bit about the gym and fitness. We have a lot of things in terms of health and wellness coming down the pike. Our makerspace has been doing a lot of virtual kind of de-stressing programs in conjunction with counseling and psychological services. We've got mindfulness and stress workshops coming. There will be activities physically on campus. There will be, you know, movie nights outside and some of the activities that we would previously do indoors outside as much as possible. And then for those of you that will be fully virtual, there will also be a lot of virtual programming. So our associated students has what we call program coordinators. And so they're looking to get folks together in terms of, you know, interests that folks want to see online, paint nights, trivia nights, fun ways to connect virtually. You'll probably connect with your divisions virtually. And then our associated students at some point will be sending out a poll to see where everybody physically is. And if there's large groups of people in one area, we're going to work together to host kind of Cal Maritime events where you are, if possible. So there's a lot going on in terms of activities coming down the way. And a lot of what everyone is used to will still happen. It'll just have more health and safety measures in place or happen via Zoom. I think I'm going to transition to Commandant Taliaferro before we go back to questions, because I think that just sparks more questions.
All right. Thank you, Dean Tenner, for all of that. And we'll keep an eye on the chat, so keep those questions coming. Ultimately, as we kind of keep an eye on the time, we're going to capture all these too. And so this will inform sort of an update of FAQs that we then try and put up on the website. So we'll be conscious of the questions we keep getting here. There's two parts to orientation. There's the virtual orientation for all of our cadets that's coming up starting next week. And then there's in-person move-in and orientation for our marine transportation and engineering majors. So a message went out, I believe it was yesterday, about virtual orientation, uniforms, and move-in, arrival. And so I'm going to start with virtual orientation and just say the dates again are next week, the Tuesday through Friday, the 4th through the 7th. All of that information is being recorded, and if you haven't already, if you take a look on the email or go onto our website, you should be able to access Brightspace. You may not see or have access to the orientation course yet, but that's where all the information is going to be housed. So if you can get on there and at least double check your login, either tomorrow or certainly Monday, we should be able to give you access to the site. The other thing that's really important there is if you go to our website, you'll be able to see that we have the virtual orientation schedule posted. And on there has the links for the Zoom meetings that each day at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. we'll do a check-in where we'll introduce ourselves. Some of our cadet leaders will be on there as well too. And then at 11 a.m. we'll do a summary of the day and wrap things up. The other important part for virtual orientation that's really going to be helpful are on Thursday, you'll get a chance to really connect in with the university advisors and all of your faculty. And throughout the virtual orientation program, you'll have access to the cadet leaders. And so they're a really great resource as you get ready to come onto campus, or even as you're working through your courses virtually. Many of them should have been sending out emails this week, identifying your division and other things. So the second part to that email was on uniforms. And for those who are going to be attending face-to-face instruction, you will get your uniforms on August 13th. They will be waiting for you in your room. And so you'll be able to try those on that day. And then for those who are in virtual space, our bookstore, the Keelhauer shops, will be working with you guys to arrange either pickup for your uniforms, or they will ship them to your either home of record or wherever you designate. So information should be coming from them probably in the next week or so that speaks to that process. As far as in-person orientation, the arrival day is the 13th. Some of what Dean Tinner covered about testing. Yes, you can test prior to coming to Cal Maritime, and we're looking to get those results within a window of 7 days prior. So if you get your results from the 6th onward to the 13th, then those will be good for us and you'll be able to come on campus. Everyone, including those people who are coming to campus that are technically living off campus, still need to submit a negative COVID test result. And so if you're living off campus on the 13th, really the big thing that would be helpful and useful for you is just to come grab your uniforms. And if we definitely know who you are, so we'll probably reach out to you separately to arrange for that process. The other parts for move-in day on the 13th, as Dean Tinner spoke to, it's a modified program. Normally we'd have a nice big welcome where we could get everybody together. What we've kind of offered now is, yes, you'll come in and everyone will be temperature screened and wristbanded. The limits that we're putting on arrival is 2 visitors per cadet. So that could be 2 parents, it could be 2 friends, it could be whomever you want. But because we're trying to keep the campus as safe as possible, we're trying to limit the amount of traffic that comes in. And so what you'll do is you'll proceed over after you do your test or screening to Res Life. They'll make sure to give you or confirm your assignment, and then we'll give you the opportunity to drop your bags, which our orientation leaders will move into your room for you. And so to reiterate what Dean Tinner had mentioned before, we won't be letting visitors go into the res halls just to keep those as clean as possible and reduce the risk of spread across the campus. And so once you drop those things, we'll move you up to the next lot right in front of our Physical Education and Aquatic Center, the PIAC. And we'll give you a little welcome packet there. And that'll detail kind of the driving tour that we have for campus. Once you make your way through campus, it'll end up in Lot E, and there'll be an area for you to park and step out. We'll have designated areas for you to take a picture with your cadet, and we'll actually be giving you one of those as you depart campus. So we'll have some Polaroids out there. What will happen next is cadets will make their way down to lower campus to grab their meals and then move into their residence halls or the TSGB, the Golden Bear, the ship, for the isolation period until we get our results back. So the very next day, our programming will be mostly virtual, and all the meals will be provided to you for day 2. This is a similar process that we've been following all summer for cadets as they've tested on our campus and moved into the res halls. And with most success, we've had results come back the very next day from our testing provider. So that kind of details the big parts on there. Move-in times are being coordinated between our office and Res Life. So we're going to look to get those out as early as tomorrow, but no later than early next week. And then the idea there is if your move-in time doesn't work for you or you need to adjust something, we'll give you our email address so that way we can coordinate the time that works best for you. But remember, the key point there is if you're not getting your testing on your own, we're trying to make sure that we schedule you for your test, and we make sure that we've got a good amount of traffic managed, so we don't have everyone showing up to campus all at once. So we'll do our best to make sure to accommodate everybody and control the flow of traffic on campus. So with that, I'm going to kind of switch over. I know we've got a few messages in the chat here, so let me see if I can start knocking some of these out. So I covered move-in time tentatively as early as tomorrow, but certainly early next week at the latest. Parents, again, will not be able to help with move-in. And again, we'll be restricting cars arriving to their cadet plus 2 guests. I think we talked a little bit about sports in the pool.
So David, a very common theme in the chat is the ball caps that were sent out to students. And also if for students that are doing distance learning, so the business, global studies, and oceanography students, if they will be required to wear the ball cap and or their uniforms during their virtual classes.
Yeah, great question. So for the ball cap that was sent to you and the script, that'll be part of virtual orientation. At the end of day 1, we'll do our capping ceremony virtual. And so for us, you'll get some specific instructions on how that's done, but usually that evolution takes place on campus. And what we're putting in place this year is an opportunity for the families to really be able to take advantage of that, do that at home, record it, and post it out so you can share that with your fellow classmates and everyone who's supporting you on your journey at Cal Maritime. The second question around uniforms and whether you're wearing those virtually or not, we are going to encourage you to wear your uniforms when you're virtual. We think that's a great way to stay connected with the university. It's not required, but we want to make sure that you have those and that our cadets who are here connecting with you and make sure that everybody has a general awareness and understanding of how to wear the uniform. And so hopefully gives you some clarity on the uniforms there and the capping. And so again, the bookstore will be in touch pretty soon to help clarify details for either pickup for those who are local or shipping for those who are not.
Thank you, David. Melinda, would you mind giving us an update on your department?
Yeah, so just a little more information about our office. We also have 2 full-time professional staff members that hold master level degrees that oversee and manage the Res Hall communities. And then we also have a team of cadet leaders who we call RHOs that essentially will help you adjust to college and be that resource for whatever you need while making your great start here at Cal Maritime. The RHOs are very similar to an RA position. So if you heard of the concept of RAs at other schools, it's very similar. And so they'll do programming in the Res Hall communities as well, and for those that will be joining us virtually. But essentially, we're your home away from home. So if you have any questions, you can always email us at housing@csum.edu. You can reach out to your Res Hall coordinator or any of the RHOs that will be here to welcome you on August 13th. Most of the information has been shared already, but for those that will be staying on our campus, you all will be in single rooms. Our office will create your room assignment for you, and that will be included in that email that will go out in the upcoming days about your room assignment, where you're going to be living, and your move-in times for orientation. Other than that, some of the questions that I saw in the chat, each of the rooms are lockable. They'll either have a physical room key that you will get on August 13th, or there will be a key card that you will use to access your room. I know students had questions about what to bring to campus. On our website, we do have 2 PDFs that talk about some items that you can bring to campus, so you definitely want to double check on that. In terms of the room assignments at the end of fall semester, so Usually at the end of fall term, we do a mid-semester flip. Given the circumstance of COVID-19, we will evaluate and assess to see if that is the best solution to do for the start of spring semester. But of course, if there's an opportunity for you to move onto the ship, or if you're on the ship for a semester to move to upper residence hall, we will definitely take a look at that and see what we can accommodate.
So Melinda, one major question that's been coming in through the submitted questions as well as the chat is, students still want that college experience. They want roommates. And so there is a question of if a student wants a roommate, is that allowed? And also, if possible, and health and safety, policy permitting, might roommates be possible in the spring semester?
So for fall semester, as part of our campus health and safety plan, there are no roommates allowed. So everyone will be placed into a single room. If things change for spring semester, our office will come up with a plan for people to have a roommate for spring semester, but it all is given upon the circumstance that we're heading into for in the next couple of months. If there is an opportunity for people to have a roommate for spring semester, again, we'll come up with a process for people to select a roommate, and then hopefully we'll have one for spring semester, but it'll just depend on what the circumstance is. I see someone's asking when will we know if we're in upper or on the TSGB? Again, our office will create the room assignments. We do room assignments with divisions, and so Commandant Taliaferro can talk about division assignments and what that means. But we will do divisional housing based on what division you are in, and then that will tell you if you're going to be placed on the ship or if you're going to be in upper residence hall. But our office will create that room assignment and send you those details when you receive your email in the upcoming days.
I see the last question asks about the protocol for when a student does if they're COVID positive or ill. If you are local, then yes, or you're driving, a parent can come get their cadet. If they have to travel like on a plane or something like that to get home, we have the responsibility to make sure that we don't let them go on a plane. So if you say live in Sacramento and wanted to come down and get your cadet and take them home, that is totally fine, yes. We would just need to know, obviously. But if you live in Hawaii, we would need to wait until they were cleared to be able to fly back.
I see that there's a question about guests. If your friend is a residential student, so a Cal Maritime student that's living on campus, by all means, they can visit each other in each other's rooms. We do ask that folks do follow the CDC guidelines, make sure everyone's wearing a mask at all times, but there will be a max capacity for each room. So no more than 2 to 3 people per room, but you gotta make sure that you keep your distance and you're wearing your mask. Unfortunately, anyone that's not affiliated with the university won't be able to pay a visit to you, and we're not allowed to have any off-campus or overnight guests for this upcoming semester and potentially for the year.
I'm also seeing a lot of questions about parking. First years that are living on campus are traditionally not able to get a parking permit. However, we have a hill, unofficially known as that is right off campus that folks are allowed to park on without a permit. And I asked earlier when folks were typing it in the chat, I emailed our police department. Last year, we launched a program where freshmen could purchase a reduced cost parking permit for our parking lot all the way at the end of campus, just so that their car had a designated lot. But I wanted to confirm that that was still gonna be an option this year. and I haven't heard back yet. So when we hear, we will let you know. But we say no cars for first years, but folks bring them anyway. But you won't be able to buy a traditional cadet permit that allows you to park on main campus. And then I saw a thing about masks. If you have your own mask, we ask that you bring your own. We do have some. Actually, we have quite a few, but we have the disposable ones, and then we do have some cloth. Obviously, folks prefer to have some cloth ones and wash them and things like that. We have a whole room designated to personal protective equipment right now. But if you do have a mask, we ask that you bring it.
So it looks like some other questions were regarding amenities in the rooms. Melinda, would you mind very quickly going over what the common amenities in the rooms are, like what's already in the room?
Yeah, so one thing to note is that each of the rooms, even though there's only one person per room, it's going to have 2 sets of furniture. So the desk, wardrobe, a mini dresser drawer you'll also have, but all of the room spaces also come with a micro fridge unit. So there's already a refrigerator and a microwave in the room. So please do not bring any microwaves or any fridge units with you on move-in day. Some rooms have a view of the Carquinez Strait and some don't. So it depends on if you're lucky, you'll have a nice view of the water. All the rooms are equipped with Wi-Fi capability, either with Ethernet or just with Wi-Fi. And if you have any issues or have any questions, please reach out to us, housing@ccm.edu. I saw a question about extension cords. You can bring your own, but it needs to have the UL symbol on it. It needs to be UL protected or a surge protector for any extension cords that you do bring to campus.
So,
Linda, what's the cost of laundry?
So the cost of laundry, it depends on the load size, anywhere from $1 to $1.75. And that's both for washing and drying. And they're both coin operated, and we're starting to install a system where you can use your Port Pass, which is your ID card, to load funds for laundry. TV size, so you are free to bring your own TV. We ask that you don't bring multiple TVs or multiple monitors with you, just for power wattage, and we want to make sure that it's a safe community that you're living in. We don't want to spark any fires. I would say keep the size to a reasonable one. We don't want to see an extra large 65-inch TV in a room. We just want to be careful in terms of personal safety. We can't have anything hanging or docked to a wall, or if it's large enough and if there was an earthquake, we don't want it falling over and trampling someone. So just be mindful of the size of the TV that you bring. If you want to bring your own desktop computer, that's fine as well, but try to keep it to at least one monitor when you come to campus.
So we are getting a lot of questions about, what can they bring and what's forbidden. And I assume that the email that goes out with their residence hall assignment will include links to those PDFs with further information, the web pages with further information as well.
Correct.
So David, I'm actually going to throw it back to you. Going to the previously submitted questions, we did have some students who had a question about the uniforms. I assume that this student will most likely be on campus the first semester, but they had a question regarding skirts versus trousers for the uniform.
Yeah, so skirts aren't something that that you'll pay for in your C bag. It's an optional item that you would be able to purchase on your and you can purchase that through our bookstore. So everybody gets issued pants. The skirts are optional.
So for, we had some question, I know we're going to be jumping around a little bit. I apologize for that, just because the questions that came in kind of covered such a variety. It sounds like we may have some students who, for both the online orientation, might not be able to be present at the time of the original recorded meeting. And there are some students who, because we unfortunately couldn't get information out sooner, might not be able to arrive to campus until a few days into the beginning of the semester for those who are living on campus. Are there going to be, is there like an exception system for some students regarding the orientation dates and attendance?
Yeah, no, those are pretty hard and fast dates. Obviously, let us know right away if there's an issue. I think, unfortunately, because of the compressed schedule, there's a cascading effect if you start to dip in and miss any coursework, and the registrar can speak more fully to that. But if you're not going to be able to make the date of 13 August, please let us know as soon as you can. Any one of the email addresses that is listed on there, that'll be shared with the group so we can figure out what the next steps are. But I think it's in everybody's best interest to do the best that you can to make the 13th.
So another question that was in the previously submitted batch was, is there a contingency plan if things get worse? And in terms of especially the on-campus students?
Yes, I would say that our contingency plan is if things get worse or there's a shelter in place, that we will shift fully virtual. And we will have to figure out how to make up those face-to-face courses again, similar to how we did now. We do have a long-range planning group that is working on options for the spring right now. And then we have our health and safety team that's also meeting. And both are meeting multiple times a week, if not every day right now. So we're monitoring the situation constantly. And if there is a need to shift kind of trajectories, we will do that.
Kristen, I just wanted to add, I had heard that a number of the faculty, especially in engineering, were trying to front load the parts of their teaching, their syllabus, with the things that were definitely hands-on. And that way, if we need to leave campus for some reason in the second half of the semester, it will be easier to transition to the things that literally could be online.
That is correct. And before we go away, come on, Taliaferro, I am seeing a lot of things about haircuts. Thoughts on haircuts for?
Yeah, no, it goes against every fiber in my being, but guess what? You guys can come with however your hair looks at this point. As soon as the situation changes in California and in our area to where it's safe to get a barber here on campus, I will personally go pick them up and drive them to campus. So that way we can get everybody looking sharp. So we'll do the best we can. And I appreciate everybody's patience. And it's a great question. I want to get a haircut just as much as everybody else, I think, does.
And there are a lot of questions from parents confirming that they will not be able to go to their cadets room. That is correct. It hurts us as well. I assure you that. But in order for us to be approved to be open, that's part of the necessary precautions we have to take. Somebody said, am I not allowed to get out of the car? Mostly. Commandant Taliaferro talked about taking a picture. We've got an area on campus that'll be set up for folks to get out of the car, but there will be very little room for parents to do much on campus. Normally we have a full program. We have time for you all to meet each other. And this year we are just trying to get folks in and get them ready and do the best we can with what we got. So unfortunately, no, there won't be much going on in terms of seeing your cadets' room or helping them decorate it.
And yet another reason to curse COVID, robbing parents of that magic moment.
Maybe at the next homecoming that we're allowed to have in person and have large crowds gathering, maybe we could have like a mini incoming class of 2020 reunion that families can come to. So it looks like we are approaching the end of our allotted hour. There are fantastic questions that have been coming in through the chat, and there are some that we received an overwhelming amount through the pre-submission page. So we are going to have to wrap it up just because we do want to make sure that everyone can get on with their day. But as Commandant Taliaferro mentioned, all of these questions will be passed on to these departments as well as the other departments that are responsible for those areas, and will be used to update their FAQs, which should be made available sometime next week. So thank you everyone for joining us. I know you have been so patient all summer and we appreciate that. This is of course our largest session ever, so we definitely went out with a big bang. I would really like to thank our guest speakers for joining us, taking time out of your very busy schedules, making sure these plans can turn into action. And I just want to say to everyone, I look forward to seeing you this semester. Thanks everyone.